The LA County medical examiner identified 15-year-old Celeste Rivas as the person who was found dead at a Hollywood tow yard in early September in the trunk of singer David's Tesla. The medical examiner is still trying to determine the cause of her death. Family first reported Rivas missing in the Lake Elsinore area in April of last year. Her mom posted this flyer on Facebook asking people to share it. She said she was desperate and worried for her daughter who had gone missing.
In the back of my mind, I killed you, and I didn't even regret it. I can't believe I said it, but it's true. I hate you.
So this is super sad and profoundly shocking. David is now facing serious legal trouble after authorities discovered the dismembered body of his ex-girlfriend in his vehicle. As additional details continue to surface, the story becomes progressively more alarming and unsettling. So let me give you a quick rundown. Authorities in Los Angeles are conducting a comprehensive investigation into a profoundly disturbing case involving the discovery of human remains inside a Tesla registered to a recording artist, David Anthony Burke Argyle, a 20-year-old musician and former professional Fortnite player. David is currently at large, and the investigation has raised serious concerns regarding potential grooming, exploitation, and abuse of a minor. The case emerged when investigators discovered severely decomposed human remains, comprising a head and torso, inside a Tesla Model X registered to David. While initially the victim's age, race, and ethnicity could not be determined, due to advanced decomposition, early assessments indicated the remains had likely been in the vehicle for several days, prompting immediate concern regarding the circumstances surrounding their discovery. The vehicle had reportedly been abandoned in the Hollywood Hills and was impounded. It was later reported due to a pervasive foul odor. The victim was described as approximately 5'1" tall, with black hair, wearing a black top and leggings, a yellow metal bracelet, metallic earrings, and a tattoo on her right index finger. Observers noted that recent extreme heat in Los Angeles may have accelerated the body's decomposition, further complicating identification efforts. Initial reports suggested that the deceased may have been David's girlfriend, with unsubstantiated claims alleging the possibility of ritualistic activity intended to advance his career. Although these assertions remain speculative, they intensified public scrutiny, particularly in light of David's previously cultivated Titanic aesthetic and his publicly wholesome, approachable persona. Initially, involvement by David appeared implausible. At the time of the victim's disappearance, he was actively touring, and he owns multiple vehicles, many of which are used by other individuals. Early police assessments did not implicate him directly. However, subsequent investigative developments increasingly suggested a potential connection between David and the victim. The case escalated when the victim was identified as Celeste, a young girl who had recently turned 15. She had been reported missing in April 2024 at the age of 13. Her mother indicated that Celeste bore a distinctive red tattoo on her right index finger, mirroring one David possesses, and noted that her daughter had a boyfriend named David. These revelations intensified scrutiny of David's personal and online activity, as well as his musical output. Investigators conducted a search of David's residence, which he had been renting through his manager less than 100 feet from the impound lot. The search yielded a computer and multiple evidence bags. Photographs also surfaced, showing David near the location where Celeste was last observed. While direct evidence of culpability remains unconfirmed publicly, the circumstances are highly suspicious. Online activity further complicated the narrative. Screenshots from David's Discord server indicated interactions with a girl named Celeste, with posts from August 2023 suggesting that other server members were aware of her presence. Leaked photos and videos from his iCloud reportedly depicted David with a girl resembling Celeste. A Reddit post, dated September 8th, correlated her disappearance with David, aligning with official reports regarding the distance between her last known location and the impound lot. David's musical repertoire has also been subject to scrutiny. His breakout single, Romantic Homicide, went viral in July 2022, catalyzing his signing with Interscope Records. Subsequent releases included Feel It for Invincible and Locked and Loaded, a collaboration with Fortnite. Lyrics such as, "In the back of my mind I offed you and didn't even cry. Not a single tear, I didn't even regret it," have been interpreted by some observers as indicative of a potentially premeditated sacrifice. Additionally, a cryptic tweet referencing 6.7, posted 2 days prior to the discovery, has been speculated to reference the duration the body remained in his possession, though such interpretations remain unverified. Emerging evidence suggests that David may have engaged in long-term grooming, isolating Celeste from her family and ultimately holding her as a captive. Reports indicate that the predatory behavior may have begun when Celeste was as young as 11. Social media posts, private messages, and Discord communications point to a pattern of coercive and controlling behavior, including the restriction of familial contact and potentially incentivizing others to maintain secrecy regarding their relationship. While authorities retrieved digital devices and other materials from David's residence for forensic analysis, Celeste's remains, primarily consisting of her head and torso, were found wrapped in plastic in the trunk of the Tesla, which had been left unattended for 5 days. Tattoos on her body corresponded with David's, suggesting an intimate and troubling connection. Investigators continued to construct a detailed timeline of David's interactions with Celeste, incorporating social media, music, and witness testimony. Public reaction has been polarized. Some assert David's direct culpability, while others speculate that a third party with temporary access to the Tesla may have orchestrated a deliberate setup. This theory is supported by the Tesla Model X's advanced security, which restricts access to the owner's phone or keycard. The delayed response by authorities to complaints regarding the foul odor has also been criticized for potentially compromising evidence collection. Celeste's family has expressed profound grief. Her brother publicly stated that he had previously attempted to alert law enforcement regarding David's behavior, but his concerns were dismissed due to insufficient evidence. While observers have questioned why authorities did not intervene more effectively, given Celeste's minor status and apparent vulnerability, the case underscores the extreme dangers associated with grooming, manipulation, and exploitation of minors. David's musical output, online interactions, and private communications remain under close examination. This case represents a tragic convergence of predatory behavior, digital influence, and systemic oversight, highlighting the necessity of vigilance, accountability, and thorough investigative procedure. Now let's examine some of the more disturbing elements surrounding his YouTube channel and his tour. His very first single on YouTube is titled Runaway. Interestingly, Celeste has a history of running away, and the timing of this release, 3 years ago, coincides with online speculation that he first made contact with her when she was just 11. When you analyze his discography, a troubling pattern emerges. The female figures in his videos bear a striking resemblance to Celeste, the themes of his music are morbid, and the lyrics themselves read like confessions, almost as if documenting real-life transgressions. The fact that both individuals had matching sh tattoos is deeply concerning, as it suggests possible grooming or coercion. Beyond the personal implications, the sh tattoo itself carries a broader symbolic weight. Within celebrity culture, it has become widely recognized as an Illuminati-linked marker, representing a vow of silence or secrecy within certain circles. For instance, Rihanna is known to have this tattoo, often paired with one-eye symbolism, and Lindsay Lohan also bears the same mark. Countless other celebrities have been photographed making the shh gesture, reinforcing its ritualistic nature and signaling an allegiance to the darker side of the industry. Even more unsettling is the staging of his tour. He incorporates a casket, flowers, and sets designed to resemble a memorial. To an observer, it appears as though he is staging a funeral for this girl. From a spiritual perspective, one could interpret this as more than performance. It may reflect an occult or ritualistic dimension. In esoteric practice, there is a concept sometimes referred to as karmic retribution, where an individual confesses their deeds subtly or symbolically to avoid direct karmic consequences. This requires a combination of cunning, spiritual awareness, and psychological insight to execute effectively. It is conceivable that, in a highly charged spiritual sense, he has attempted to channel or siphon the trauma and pain of this girl to fuel his artistic output. In esoteric traditions, energy, particularly intense emotional energy, is believed to be transferable, and trauma can be unconsciously harnessed to manifest power or influence. The transformation of real-life horror into music, lyrics, and performance allows the audience to feel the raw emotions, creating an almost tangible connection between the trauma he exploits and the listener's experience. What many fail to recognize is that much of what occurs in the public realm, especially in entertainment, may operate on layers that are deeply spiritual, symbolic, and energetic rather than purely material. In this context, the art becomes a vessel for real-life pain, ritualized expression, and possibly even attempts to manipulate karmic consequences, which adds a profoundly sinister dimension to the music, visuals, and public persona. There is a well-documented psychological phenomenon in which some criminals are inexplicably drawn back to the scene of their crimes. Psychologists explain this as a mix of compulsion, unresolved guilt, and the need to relive or reconcile the emotions tied to their actions. Spiritually, this behavior is even more revealing. The energy generated by one's deeds, especially acts of trauma or violence, cannot be contained. It lingers, attracts attention, and often manifests as a pullback toward the origin of the act. In the entertainment industry, a similar dynamic occurs, though it is often far more subtle and symbolic. Many artists unconsciously or intentionally reveal their inner realities through their work, lyrics, music videos, stage design, or fashion choices. These are not merely artistic decisions, they can function as coded confessions, where the real-life actions, intentions, or trauma of the individual are externalized. From a spiritual perspective, this is a direct interaction with energy. Trauma, guilt, or wrongdoing generates a potent form of energy, which some individuals attempt to channel or siphon through creative output. In this way, their art becomes a vessel, transmitting the raw emotional and spiritual energy of real-life events directly to the audience. Here you can see David breaking down while singing the words, "I'll see you in the afterlife."
I'll love you from the after. I'll love you from
As I said, their art becomes a vessel, transmitting the raw emotional and spiritual energy of real-life events directly to the audience. For example, take Beyoncé's song Daughter. Many listeners have speculated that the lyrics read almost like a confession, with some even linking it to the long-circulated rumors surrounding Kathy White, Jay-Z's alleged mistress. Your body laid out on these filthy floors, your bloodstains on my custom coutures, bathroom attendant let me right in. She was a big fan. I really tried to stay cool, but your arrogance disturbed my solitude. Now I ripped your dress and you're all black and blue. Look what you made me do. Double-cross me, I'm just like my father. I am colder than Titanic water. What makes it more disturbing is that Beyoncé was visibly emotional, even crying, while performing the song. The question is, why the homegirl is crying? What are you trying to tell us, Beyoncé? Let's look at her poem Denial from Lemonade. I slept on a mat on the floor, I swallowed a sword, I levitated. Wait, hold on. You levitated? Why are you levitating, Beyoncé? Are you possessed? Are you a demon? But wait, it gets better. I crossed myself in thought, I saw the devil, I grew thickened skin on my feet, I bathed in bleach and plugged my menses with the pages from the holy book. This isn't art, it's an abomination. Any Christian supporting this witch is lacking spiritual discernment. Even back when I was in the occult, her presence disturbed my spirit. I will never understand how believers can continue to support her, because even when I was walking in darkness, I had the discernment to recognize her darkness. How is it that those who claim to walk in the light cannot see it? The only explanation is that many are under her spiritual oppression. Beyoncé is allegedly known for casting spells through her music, videos, and even products she sells. I broke this down in my Cardi B video. When you align yourself with a celebrity, you are also aligning yourself with the demons they serve. And make no mistake, these celebrities do not operate with just one or two demons. To gain massive influence and worldwide followings, they work with legions. By aligning with them, the very demons they collaborate with are given access to you. It's the same concept with horoscopes. Each zodiac sign is ruled by a specific principality. When you identify with a zodiac, you're actually identifying with that demon, and over time, you begin to embody its traits. That's why people can often predict your behavior based on your sign. You've unknowingly aligned yourself with that spirit. The same applies to narcissists. Why do they all seem to operate the same way? Because they're under the oppression of the same principality, most commonly the Jezebel spirit. This is why we must be careful about who we idolize and who we identify with. The spirits attached to them will eventually attach to you. The enemy operates legally, he only needs your agreement and an open door to gain access. Let me give you another example to drive this point home. Let's use Doja Cat. How my demons look. I'm a puppet, I'm a sheep, I'm a cash cow. That's not art. She's telling you who she is. And look at this artwork. And keep in mind, she said how my demons look. Not one demon, but demons. Plural. That's why I keep telling you. One thing these artists gonna do is tell on themselves. The most concerning and esoteric aspect of this is the concept of ritualized karmic mitigation. As I said earlier, individuals may attempt to protect themselves from karmic consequences by confessing or revealing their deeds symbolically. This can take many forms: lyrics that mirror real acts, stage designs that mimic memorials, or performances that evoke suffering. The intention is to transform negative energy into a controlled symbolic expression, potentially diverting karmic repercussions while amplifying personal power, influence, or creativity. In some cases, this is tied to practices of energy manipulation, where pain, trauma, or fear, either experienced personally or inflicted on others, is siphoned to generate momentum in their career or personal ambitions. Viewed through this lens, much of what the public experiences as entertainment is far more than performance. It is the intersection of the material and spiritual, a deliberate or unconscious channeling of energy, and a reflection of real-world acts and intentions. What appears morbid, provocative, or shocking is often an energetic signature of reality itself, a confession embedded in art, a ritualized acknowledgement of deeds, and a manipulation of the spiritual forces that govern consequence and resonance. Recognizing this allows for a deeper understanding of how energy, karma, and human behavior operate on layers beyond the visible, and why some of the most disturbing symbols in media may point to truths that are profoundly real. The situation with David is yet another striking example of how label artists often function as power puppets. A power puppet is someone whose career and influence are deliberately built on negativity. Disruption, chaos, and strategically orchestrated crises are used to provoke thought, conversation, and emotional investment from the public, effectively generating power for the individual while keeping them under the control of those orchestrating their rise. The sheer number of Easter eggs he and his team embedded across his music, videos, concerts, and social media presence is remarkable. As a rising artist, it's clear he wasn't acting alone. This was a carefully orchestrated and ritualized siphoning event. From PR strategists to video directors, the scope of execution suggests a coordinated effort that extended far beyond what he could have managed on his own. If the allegations against David are as severe as they appear, and if he is indeed guilty of murder, why is he not already in custody? Why is his treatment marked different from other cases that would typically move a bit faster? The answer lies in the deep interconnection between the music industry, Hollywood, and major media outlets. Those who control these networks manipulate narratives to maintain influence and ensure outcomes align with their agenda. From the very inception of David's career, every aspect of his public persona and trajectory has been carefully curated by the industry. Music releases, public appearances, and even media silence are all components of an overarching strategy. When they want a narrative suppressed, it vanishes without a trace. When they want someone elevated, they dominate the conversation. This orchestration extends beyond publicity. It can involve manipulating personal circumstances, situations, or even orchestrating crises to serve a particular purpose. This is a deliberate mechanism of indoctrination into the top tiers of artistry, often tied to ritualized and symbolic practices. By keeping the public engaged, talking, speculating, and reacting, the industry generates a continuous cycle of attention that reinforces the individual's power while keeping them under the system's control. David, in this sense, is positioned in a space where every action, every controversy, and every narrative becomes a tool to maintain influence. The constant reignition of negativity is not accidental. It is precisely what the system intends. Understanding this dynamic is crucial. Without awareness, the public inadvertently feeds the cycle of manipulation. The music industry, along with its affiliates in Hollywood and media, functions as an interconnected network where power is maintained through scandal, perception, and carefully managed narratives. Cases involving big labels and other high-profile instances demonstrate this form of systemic racketeering, where artists are not merely participants, but instruments in a larger scheme designed to control attention, influence culture, and maintain the agenda of those at the top. At this point, if you haven't realized that the music industry at large is governed by Luciferian elites, you need to start paying closer attention. Most of what passes as art is not art at all. It's ritual, symbolic programming designed to glorify darkness and ensnare souls. These celebrities are not role models. They are not better than you simply because they're more visible. In reality, many of them are far worse than the average person because they have willingly prostituted their souls, their integrity, and their moral compass for a paycheck and fleeting notoriety. The truth is, when the spotlight fades and the ball is over, they will be left with the crushing weight of their choices. Midnight always comes, and when the clock strikes 12, no amount of fame, fortune, or fan worship will shield them from the eternal consequences of serving the enemy.